Good evening. Good morning. It is officially New Year's Eve 2022. I am Vinny K and I am back for another Rush album discussion. Sorry I've been away for a while. I'm busy working, doing other things, dealing with the holidays, and a lot of times I'm just so tired, but I've been wanting to make the follow-up video to the last one I did, which was Presto. Been into the '90s, really into the Rush '90s. Talking about the album, the band Rush, of course, my favorite band in the whole world, Rush, and going through their '90s albums. We've already gone through well, the last four albums of the '80s, and technically Presto's an '80s album, but it came out in November of '89. So I consider it a '90s album because I grew on me more in 1990. Anyway, I'm really into this period now because what's funny is like nostalgia in the way it works. Because the '90s now is 30 years ago, and it's becoming the way the '80s started to feel after 30 years or so, where it's like, yeah, like I think the '80s was like that 10 years, 20 years, but really the more you live, the more time goes on, the more nostalgic and the more special you realize, wow, what a great time to be alive. So the '90s, and I'm really into the '90s Rush because it's a great time. The '80s is my golden period for Rush, but um, I guess you could say the '90s is like golden period part two, though, right after it, because it's just as important to me in my journey in life and soundtrack of my life, and the music of Rush is like symbiotic with me as far as like it's always there, it's always been there. Anyway, the album we're talking about tonight is the follow up to Presto, and that is the awesome, incredible Roll the Bones. Very important album in Rush's discography, in their catalog. Very important record, one that had to be made. There are songs on here that had to be made, had to be written, had to be recorded, and I'm gonna talk about it a bit. Love the album cover, of course. Beautiful. Really cool. Really cool logo. Love the dice and everything. Album's all about chance. Great theme. Very universal. Very, you know, Neil Peart, rest in peace. His lyrics, obviously they're always very deep and very involved as far as the words and so many meanings. But this one, it's like that, but very universal with the theme and on this album of chance. But we'll get into that. Great picture. I love this. I love this picture. I love the picture of it from the video of the same name. With the boys in the cover, getting ready to shoot their video. Getty letting his hair down out of the ponytail for once. That's a Getty. Rock out, man. Love it. We'll get more into that in a bit. But yeah, but we're also talking about my personal journey with Rush, and in the comments, I'd like to hear your personal story too. I don't care if it's a long thing or a short. Tell me where you were. What's your story with Rush Roll the Bones? How does it fit into your journey with Rush? We're all different, and it's all a different thing for everybody. But for me personally, I was in my early 20s, 21 in fact. 21. Holy smokes. Presto, it's funny, like, when Roll the Bones came out, it didn't feel like it took that long. Even though it was a long time. A lot happened between, because, let's see, November of 1989, and then I think it was around August, September of 91. A lot happened between then. Going to Five Towns, of course, still. And then I think, second, let's see, 88, 89, third and fourth semesters at Five Towns, starting to become more involved with myself as a songwriter and recording artist. Starting to become a recording artist. Starting to go to local studios with my songs and recording them and stuff like that, which was a lot of fun, all new to me. Getting into that. This is all before, all before the sort of DIY, do-it-yourself thing, which I've done uh, for the last, couple decades now. But back in the 90s, I had to go to a studio. Now, I did work DIY on the 4-track at home, but I didn't have any computer or anything, so I didn't have any technology like that, or being able to record on my phone or anything like that. We didn't, didn't have no phone. Phone was landline. Landline. I was still living at my parents' house too. I wasn't in my, I didn't, wasn't out of the nest yet. I was still going to college and everything. And anyway, getting into songwriting, getting into being a musician, more into my own music, just starting to write songs, the first bunch of songs and recording. So that was doing that and really into that. Yeah, I would write songs on my little 4-track and then try to go to save up money and go to the studio and record maybe one or two songs at a time or something. I didn't make no big album or anything. Just I did about 2 songs I think at first, and then I was starting to play with a drummer called Chris De La Rosa, who was an amazing drummer. Met him through my channels at King Cullen, my friends at King Cullen, who had friends of a friend, and I hooked up with him. And he's very important in the story of Roll the Bones because we had a band going, Black Onyx, which came out of the ashes of FAR, F-A-R, playing with my good buddy Frank Rosetto, better known as Frank Rose. He's a country singer. If you're out there, Frank, and you're watching this, thumbs up to you. Very proud of you for your music career. Pretty awesome. But we were still in the band, and eventually he went on to do his own thing. But with Fling Lois and then the country stuff. But Chris De La Rosa was the drummer we were playing with. I was playing with in Black Onyx, and he was the one who brought to me one day a cassette, and he heard the new single from Rush, and that's Dreamline, which was released early by a DJ. See, back in the 90s, people did that, and they got away with it. Wasn't no internet yet, really, not everywhere. So, but I think it was a radio station up in Connecticut, played the song, he caught a tape of it. This is before it was supposed to be the official release. So we got a tape of it, and we heard it, Dreamline. And I played it for my friend Blake and Frank also, and it sounded amazing. What a great song. The best song I've heard in my life, in my whole life. Dreamline. I'll get more into that in a bit. Talking about all the songs, of course. And it was just really nice to get it early, too, like I said. Really sets the tone for this album. Closely watched. I don't really talk much about the producers, do I? But Rupert Hine was the producer for this. They worked with Peter Collins on Roll the Bones. Power Windows and Hold Your Fire, of course. But this was Rupert Hine that worked on Presto. And no, it was a good album. The '90s. I always say this. Each Rush period are in kind of like albums, 4 albums at a time. For instance, you have with the '80s, you had Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, and Hold Your Fire. Well, in the '90s, it's Presto. For me, it's Presto, Roll the Bones, Counterparts, and Test for Echo. And Roll the Bones was an album that was sort of in that 4-album period. You could divide it into 2 albums as well within that, because they, from Presto to Roll the Bones, there's a similar vibe, similar production, probably because of the producer, But the big difference is, Roll the Bones has stronger songs. Let's The songwriting is better. The hooks are better. The melodies are better. They stay with you. You know, Presto's an incredible album, but this one has some songs that had to be written. Dreamline. Right off the bat, Dreamline, Roll the Bones. Dreamline, Bravado, Roll the Bones. The first three tracks. You know, you stack those next to, you know, each album is a little bit better than the last. I tell you. I really mean that. And, you know, some idiot on YouTube was like, well, wait a minute. You're saying that Roll the Bones is better than Moving Pictures? And you know what? People that say some stupid shit like that, it's apples and oranges because it's a different period. I wouldn't compare this to Moving Pictures because it's of a different period. Yeah, it's still Rush, yes, but it's a different period. I would compare this to Presto. Presto. I wouldn't even compare it to Hold Your Fire or Power Windows. You know what I mean? Or Grace Under Pressure or Signals. Because this is a different time period. They're in a different headspace. They're more mature. They got different influences. You know, so, but I would compare this to Presto, and comparing it to Presto, yeah, it's a superior album. Superior songs. Overall. Like, song for song, pound for pound. You know, Presto's got some amazing tracks. It's a very special album. I talked about it. You know, Available Light, Presto, great songs, right? But this one's got like one after another, you know? Face Up. Got it, first instrumental, I'll get into that in a bit. First instrumental since YYZ. Or Bruce Bain for that matter on X Lab. Where's My Thing? Me and Chris Del Rosa, when we were in Onyx, we played that all the time. But in fact, we played this whole album. We would go through every song and just play. It would just be me and him a lot of times in his basement, in his house, going through the songs. Let's go through the album. We would just play the entire album. It was fun. But Big Wheel, I'm gonna get into all the tracks, but the first 6 tracks alone, I mean, all of them really. We got 10 tracks here. There's not one bad song. There's no fillers. And again, the time period. All you Rush fans talking about hemispheres, I get that's a whole different time. You can't compare it. It's apples and oranges. You know, that band was trying to prove itself. You know, the first 8 from Rush, the first album Rush to Hemispheres, and even moving. You know, that band was trying to prove itself, to themselves about, you know, being the best musicians they could and everything. They didn't go to Five Towns College like I did. They were on the road like 200 something gigs a year, pounding out these, you know, 2112 and Hemispheres in the same concert and all the other songs, and getting their chops reeled together. You know, that's what those albums were about. But once they got there, it was more about the songs, arrangements, good melodies, good feel. I understand that. As a songwriter, I have always understood that, even before I started writing songs. And some musicians, they get hung up and like they want Rush to be like Dream Theater, where they're just like, you know. I mean, I love that stuff too. I'm a big prog fan, obviously. I'm a big Dream Theater fan. But I love the fact that Rush did not shy away from just, you know, let's focus on some good songs here. And that's what they did on Roll the Bones. That's what they achieved with Roll the Bones. You know, we could get into, you know, people could talk about, even Rush themselves, about the recordings, you know. Recording wise, yeah, they made improvements, and we'll talk about that with the next album, Counterparts. But the songs, this has some of the best songs ever. So, anyway, what was I talking? But yeah, Dreamline's the first track, but let's talk about the song. Dreamline was the first track to come out, and it sounded great. And then, you know, it came out early, so it was a while before I heard any other tunes. But, you know, it was great because it was something to listen to before I did it. But there were 2 album release things that happened. There was BAB, WBAB on Long Island. Still had it going. They still had their little new album song release Sunday night special that they always had, where they would play a few songs. Maybe not the whole album, but maybe 2, 3, 4 songs. And they did that. I remember hearing Three amazing songs, and that's The Big Wheel, Roll the Bones, and You Bet Your Life. Three of arguably the best songs on this album. That was one really cool thing where I heard some new songs, sounded great. I was like, holy shit, these are, I recorded, of course, I taped it. And then another time was at a pool party uh, with some friends, Chris Del Rose, and some friends from King Kong, Mike Toha, if you're out there, if you're ever watching this. We were at his house, and I guess it was NEW, WNEW, which I think, Q104 is more or less like NEW is now. Uh, is like the NEW of now. But at the time they did a release, they had Getty and Alex on. It was a syndicated thing, and they had a bunch of songs. They played a bunch of songs as well. So, and on that special, we heard Bravado, Heresy. They played Dreamline, Big Wheel, a few of them. They also played Where's My Thing, the instrumental. Um, Try to think if Baby played the instrumental. I don't think they did. Can't remember if they did. They might have. So I think one of them played the instrumental, but they definitely played Bravado and Heresy. And Bravado, that's a key song on this album. We'll get into that too. But so those were the two release parties that played a bunch of songs, and I was hooked right away, of course. And really, now with Presto, as I told, I didn't have listened to any release party. That was my one experiment with just picking up the album and putting it on. This time around, didn't really do that. Going forward, I pretty much didn't do that for any album. Any more albums. I pretty much would listen to whatever release party or anything that came out. But I've got the album, and yeah, the songs are amazing. Let's go down the road. So Dreamline. I've just got some of his Neil's best lyrics. Dreamline, which is some key phrases. We're only immortal for a limited time. We're only immortal for learning that we're only immortal for a limited time. What a great line. Again, like just universal. Like it's just you don't have to be. It's not rocket science to try to figure that one out. It's like wow, you know, the idea that you could when you're young, you think you can get away with anything. You don't think you're gonna die. You think, oh, you're gonna live forever. And especially nowadays, people dropping like flies from that stupid jab out there. Anyway, people think they're young and everything, and you always assume there's going to be another day. And let me tell you something: if you're young out there or any age, be thankful every day you're alive. But Dreamline is the idea of people, you know, testing the limits, but just be reminded you're only learning that we're. But one day you do. You learn that you are immortal. You're not immortal. You're only immortal for a limited time. Of course, if you're a musician, you write songs. The songs you write, and it doesn't matter whether you're famous or not. I believe this. The songs that you leave behind, the albums or songs, that does kind of make you more immortal in a way. That's the only exception I make to that. Is that if you're an artist and you create something, whether it be music or a book or some kind of art or something, that remains, and that is a testament to your life. But really, as far as living, yeah, you're only mortal for living time. So great line, great song. To me, it's like the Tom Sawyer of the '90s in terms of like huge song in Rush's catalog. One that had to be written, instant classic, instant classic. Probably the biggest song since Tom Sawyer. I remember the radio played the hell out of that. They didn't make a video for it, but that's all right. And what's really cool is the song is sort of like on Presto. There's a song called Red Tide, and I think that was sort of in a way I don't know it was meant to, but it was sort of like a first draft of Dreamline because Dreamline reminds me a lot of Red Tide from Presto, but I think it's because Dreamline, I'm sorry, Red Tide on Presto opens up with the piano line going. Da, 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 da. Well, this time it's the guitar. The fucking Alex zone. Da, 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 that staccato line kicks it off. So they say, get rid of that piano. I love the piano sound on Presto. I think it's part of that sound of that album. But Rush is a trio. Rush is guitar, bass, drums, and hell yeah, if they're gonna say, let's have the guitar duet this time. Well, guess what? What a difference! Look at what a difference makes just in the arrangement. Both are fine, but Alex playing it, yeah, and then kicking in with that another hook. There's hook after hook with this album. You got the da 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 that, and then da da da, the three chords, ga ga ga, all just hit you with it relentlessly through the song. Great live. They would open with the song. The next two tours, they could have done. They could have opened with this song the rest of their career. That would have been fine. But I loved it on the next tour when they opened up. Because live it just sounds good. But we'll get more into that in a lot. Dreamline, amazing song. What else? Anything else about it? Great guitar solo. It's very limelight. Guitar solo is very limelight like with Alex. Just building it slowly and you know amazing crescendo at the end and just high notes and yeah, it just explodes. With just makes you want to run through a wall. Just gets you so psyched and so jacked up. The song just builds up. Great chorus, of course. That's what has that line that I talked about. The chorus is strong. One of the strongest songs ever. It would become a staple in their catalog, in their concerts and stuff. Great song, but the thing is, the next song, Bravado. Now, Bravado, like I said, I heard it on the NEW premiere, pre-release, whatever. This is one of their best songs ever, and another song that had to be written, and it was written for me. This is like one of those songs. Like this was my song, just like Mission was on Hold Your Fire. But it was about time that since then that they wrote another song that was for me, and not just me. I'm sure it's for millions of other Rush fans as well. What great lyrics! Again, the lyrics. We will count. We will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. Another phrase. Now, these aren't phrases he made up. He gets a lot of these phrases from books and stuff. And I think this is from a novel that he wrote. Um, and there's a lot of Shakespearean references in here. Flying too close to the sun. Um, and by the way, I only know that from watching some of the other album discussions. Because I gotta be honest, I'm not a big Shakespeare thing. I didn't realize just how much Shakespeare stuff, images and words that Neil throws at us through his career, through Rush's career. But that was one, if we burn our wings flying too close to the sun. But I like I said, we will pay the price, we will not count the cost. That repeats over and over and over and over. Very emotional song. Think of the past emotion, but even more, and very like hopeful and beautiful. Amazing guitar solo. Just great key that it's in. Great whatever modal key that it's in. The chords, and again coming back to like songwriting, the strength of the songwriting, and the fact that they're not worried about playing as fast as they can and 100 different time signatures. There's always a time and a place for that, and they get back to it on things like Test for Echo, albums like that. But on this album, I don't mind them just focusing on these playing songs. Let's just write some great songs, Let's see how much we can still put in like 5 minutes or so, and that's what they do on this. And all those fans that want them to be like Hemispheres, come on, man, open your mind and realize this was Rush at a different time. And if you do that, you'll enjoy it. Just listen for what it is and not what you want it to be. Because every album for Rush is a different world. It's a different thing. They never do the same album twice ever. So Bravado is such an important song. Even Better Live. I'll get more into that, but when we talk about the live thing, great hooks again. Awesome, awesome. Roll the Bones, track 3. Again, another instant classic. All these first 3 tracks are instant classics. Presto had what? Show Don't Tell, Chain Lightning, The Past. Really good track. But the first three on here, each of them, as much as I love Presto, blows the first 3 tracks. The first 3 tracks in this album destroys the first 3 tracks on Presto. And I mean that in a good way, because I love Show Don't Tell. I love Chain Lightning. I love The Past. But Dreamline, Bravado, Roll the Bones, oh my God, like light years better. Light years superior. Just stronger, better, solid, like profound tracks. Roll the Bones, the title track. Now, I didn't really get into it, but the theme of this album is chance. And taking a chance. Go for it. Fuck it. You live once, and everyth's chance. Like everything, the way where you're born. This whole album gets into all the aspects of that. Where lucky, like I'm born in the United States and everything. Lived in a really nice neighborhood on Long Island. Could have been born anywhere else. I'm thankful for that. That's an element of chance. And going for your dreams in life and taking chances. And, sometimes you don't win, sometimes you lose. They get into all these different things. And this song, no exception. What a great track. This was premiered on the BAB special. And this jumped out at me. Like so many different elements in this song. Roll the Bones. You got a little rap section in the middle. Fun little rap section, which a lot of fans were like, oh, what the fuck? It works. It works in this song, and I never have a problem with it right away. Right off the bat, the rap section, none of that bothered me. I just thought it was cool. It was fresh. A great hook in the chorus. Why are we here? Because we're here, Roll the Bones. Another universal key phrase. It's right in the chorus. That's the hook of the song. Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the Bones. Fuck it. Roll the Bones. Go for it. And it's got a little bit of that Show Don't Tell vibe in the riffs opening up. That chord that Alex owns. He talked about when they made Snakes and Arrows. Alex talks about the hemispheres chord, right? Well, that's one chord that he owns. The other one is the one he plays in Show Don't Tell, and he plays in this song, the opening riff. That little riff that he plays. That's an Alex chord right there. That's his chord. But each part is different. You got the verses, which is, like I said, just kind of like that Alex chord and everything. And then you got the pre-chorus, which is more funky and jamming, and like, oh my God, really jamming. Like really jamming. Good bass. Getty using the wild bass again. And that he uses a new one. It's a red one with a little deeper bassy tone. And really works on this song. And then the chorus comes in. It's like a typical Rush chorus. Really hooky. Why are we here? Because we're here. And you got an amazing solo and the rap section. It's a pretty elaborate song with so many parts and so many different... This has a lot of changes. Maybe not time changes per se, but there's a lot of different moods in this song. Really cool. Really cool. Great live, too. All these songs sound better live. I'll talk more about that again. Track 4. I'm going to try to run through these songs. Face Up. Now, they should have played this live, by the way. That's one song. The only thing about the tour, what I'll get into later, is they didn't play Face Up. They should have. They should have played it at some point. Because that song Neil says Face Up was the beginning of this album. The first song, the first lyrics he wrote. Turn it up or turn that wild card down. That's the key phrase in this song. Each of these songs has like a key phrase, except for the instrumental, of course. But the one in this one, Face Up, is turn it up or turn that wild card down. That's what started the whole. He's playing around with that theme. And this song has one of the best intros with a little bit of a drum solo in the beginning. Um, really upbeat, kind of like in that superconductor sort of vibe. Love it. Would have sounded great live, but they didn't really do it. They could have opened it. They could have opened a concert with that song. Really cool, really cool. Next track, Where's My Thing? First instrumental since YYZ, or Bruce Bain for that matter. And as live, that's a live instrumental. But as far as studio instrumentals, yeah, YYZ was the last instrumental. And this one, I love it. Very funky, very jazzy, especially the live version. Me and Chris, we used to play the song every fucking day. We used to play it live. We used to love playing the song live. You know, I know it's not as crazy as YYZ. It's not as, it's not as. It's still hard. It's still. They're all challenging to play. You can play any Rush song, thumbs up, because they're all challenging in one way or another. Now, is it as flashy? Not as flashy. Not nearly as flashy as YYZ or La Villa, but it's up there. It's up there. It's a little more textured and atmospheric, I would say, and funky. It's a very funky side. And then live when they extended it, um, but really great instrumental. Very, and again, it has its sort of modern, Presto, Roll the Balls era sound to it, with the chorus, the instrumental chorus, which is beautiful. So like thick in all the sounds and stuff. They're still using keyboards. Just like with Presto, they're focusing on bass drum and guitar, but there's still a little bit of keyboards in the background. And when they do use it, it works. And it sounds great. I'm glad that it's in there. I'm glad they didn't eliminate the keyboards because they do create a nice backdrop. They really do, which gives the songs really great atmospherics. Each of these tracks that I'm talking about, the first 5 tracks, they all had that going on. They all have it. Dreamline, Bravado, Roll the Balls, Face Up, and Where's My Thing? The little bit of keyboards in these songs, very minimal, but great, very effective in terms of setting up the atmosphere of these tracks and the backdrop. Well, Where's My Thing? No exception. Great drums, great bass, And look, Alex is not flying around or everything, but he's creating atmospheric, really atmospherics. And that's a large part of what Alex does is atmospherics. He's the other side of the spectrum, really, from like someone like Eddie Van Halen or whatever. Pyrotechnics and stuff. Alex is more about, less is more, most of the time. But that's a great track. I think that was premiered on BAB, and I really enjoy it. Next track, Big Wheel. This was on BAB when they had the premiere. Oh my God, what a great song. Another song that should have been played live, I think. It's a very hooky. Should have been another single, too. Russ doesn't really do singles, I know that. But it should have been on the radio. Radio, they could have played so many more songs from these albums than they did. Show to Tell and Presto in the past. All right, that was 3 tracks from the last album. I don't know, maybe it's different in different regions. But on Roll the Bones, I think that there was several songs on here that are just radio friendly, and I think Big Wheel is no exception. Great track. Getting back into the theme of Chance, the Big Wheel. I think of The Price is Right. I used to love that game on The Price is Right. Um, Looking for love, the way the big wheels turn. Um, what's the key phrase in this one? Just the big wheel, man. The way the big wheel turns. The way life goes on every day, every day. I think of the big wheel. I think of just the wheel. Like, Journey has a song, Wheel of the Sky. But the big wheel of time, really. I think that's the big wheel, time. Time is a big key in life. And so he talks about when I was only a kid, this, that, the other thing. Going through, he was talking about his life. But yeah, we go through life and it's just about taking chances in life. I took chances. I chose to be a musician. We all make choices. Everything in life is a choice. I could have done anything. I could have you know, tried to be an accountant or some shit and make me make lots of money doing that. I chose. I want to be a songwriter, and I've done day jobs and everything like that just to keep myself, pay my bills and everything. But I'm always just at the end of the day, music's my life, and I write songs, I record them, and that's my mission in life. That's my goal in life, and I took a chance doing that. I took a chance doing that starting when I was young. It was a choice, and it was. It's not about being famous or being rich or anything. It's more just that's the choice I made, and I live with it, and I would never change it. And we all make those choices. Some people make choices and then they change later, or nothing wrong with that either. But um, at the end of the day, taking chances. If you don't take chances in life, um, what the hell? Go for it. Then who knows? Whether it be relationships, whether it be your what you do for a living, it's important to just say fuck it. But moving on, Heresy, next track. Another great song. All these songs have such great hooks and such great melodies. Um, Again, very deep textures and the keyboards. Well, Heresy's another one. This one's getting in one of the few songs. In fact, the only song that kind of deeply gets into like sort of world events. Because just before this album came out, of course, we had the Berlin Wall and the end of the Soviet Union. Those two events, big events in world history. And Neil gets into the idea that he was mad. A lot of people were celebrating it, and he was mad because he was talking about the angle that where all these people grew up their lives thinking, that their life, that this is the way it's supposed to be, living under communism and fascism, real communism. We don't have fascism. Well, freedom isn't fascism. Fascism is fascism. Communism is not freedom, okay, either. Well, they grew up in it, and then all of a sudden the wall goes down, and communism ends, Soviet Union ends. Yet they realize, oh my God, we could have been free all this time, all those wasted years. That's the key song in the song. All those wasted years. And just again getting into the idea that you could have been born, like I could have been born there. I could have been born in the fucking Soviet Union or Germany under the thing, Iron Curtain, or I don't know, some part of Africa or some place that's like shithole or something. Sorry, being honest, but I was born suburb on Long Island. I'm thankful every day of my parents and where I grew up that it was the way it was. Because you could, chance. You could have been born anywhere. You could have been born at all. I mean, like, what I mean? Like, so, but that song, Heresy, gets into that. Gets into the fact that these people um, that lived in under this, uh, people died. Millions of people. Let me tell you something. Socialism, fascism, communism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism gets you killed. I don't want to hear about, well, socialism is pretty good. No, it leads to death, destruction, suffering. Freedom is the only answer. Anyway, Heresy gets into that. It gets into the fact that these people wake up one day and realize, oh my God, my whole life, all those wasted years. Great song, great music. It really evokes the lyrics too. It's a great marriage of lyrics and music. With Alex kind of with his little guitar line, da, na, 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 almost has like a bagpipe kind of sound to it. Great arpeggios in the kind of arpeggio solo, little interlude in towards the middle. I love that part. Sounds like a 12 string. Amazing song. Next song, another key song, "Ghost of a Chance." Oh my God, what a great track! What a great track. Another song that I meant to be written. Now that was a single, I think. Yeah, "Ghost of a Chance." Beautiful. Another song. See, I love. See, I know Rush in interviews talked about. Yeah, we got to this jazzier side and everything, and got away from it. I think they should have kept a little bit of that in there, a little bit more in their thing. They did to agree. Songs like "Limbo" and "Leave That Thing Alone" on the next albums. But like, I love that whole just little bit of jazz fusion side of Rush, and in this song, it's in there with the choruses. The choruses have that sort of jazz fusion, slow jazz fusion, uh, very melodic, very kind of, but nice chords and bluesy, jazzy, soulful kind of. Alex's guitar on the song he shines on the song. He really does. Shines on a bunch of these songs with some of the guitar solos. But "Ghost of a Chance," one of his best ever. That might be up there in his top 10, top 20 guitar solos. Um, "Ghost of a Chance." The theme of this song is relationships and the fact you meet your significant other if you're fortunate enough to have one. All that you go through to get to that point. I'm with my girlfriend 10 years now. It took me 30 years to get to that point of relationships and different people and different just to get to that point. And I don't doesn't it's not lost on me ever. To find someone who's your soulmate and everything and gets you and it's the right person. I mean, the chances of that. I know from my some people are lucky enough to meet someone and with them but even that, I mean, because it's so hard, it's almost impossible, really. It's someone you trust and someone that you know is not going to screw you over and backstab you and all that. Because that when you trusting someone. How about you want to talk about chances? How about taking a chance is trusting somebody and committing to somebody and knowing they're not going to screw you over. I watch ID channel all the time, and you see all the people that are just the backstabbing and the because people don't aren't loyal and they do that and but payback's a bitch when you go that down that road. I'm going to tell you right now, there is a thing called karma. So all you out there, and look, you know, no one's perfect, right? But you find someone to love to make it last. Find, you know, I don't. What does it say? Find someone to love and make it last. I believe, he doesn't believe in the stars or the planets or angels watching from above, but I believe there's a ghost of a chance that we could find someone to love and make it last. And he's damn right about that. It's very difficult, but not impossible. And once you get that person, hold on to them as long as you can. Because if you lose them, good luck trying to find someone else. That's good. If you do, well, good for you. That's hard too. Do it once and twice, three times. Shit, that's you know. I certainly don't. I don't think I went through hell to get to that point to meet my significant other, Barbara. Love you, Barbara. And yeah, that song nails that feeling. I put those. I used to write sticky notes, all these different lyrics on my bedroom. I remember we had a party and some girl looked at it and said, "Yeah, I really like that one." So even women like that. Some of the lyrics in the song. Next song, we got two more tracks. Erotica and You Bet Your Life. Two amazing tracks. Two amazing closers, just like the last album had Hand Over Fist and Available Light. Two amazing tracks. Well, this album, same thing, Neurotica. Neurotica is a very underrated, overlooked song. I think not a lot of people talk about it, but I think it's a great track. Solid track. Little bit of little bit of a sequence. Geddy's playing with the bass there on the keyboards, and it's a really just cool texture kind of song, talking about people that are neurotic, people that are freaking out. You hear them, all over the place, yelling and screaming, and it's really like certain people. Uh, Really, I think of Karens, quote unquote Karens, all freaking out over stupid shit, offended for no reason. All these people out there offended. They live to be offended. They live to be like, just relax, shut the hell up, and just be glad you're alive and live life, be positive. Stop being so negative. I think that's what it's about. It's about like negative people and people that are all like neurotic. uh, what's the one line? Look, in this song, the world is a cage for your impotent rage. Don't let it get to you. Something like that. I think that's it. Neurotica. Great track, great guitar solo, very limelight like, very, great feel. I like the feel of these choruses too. A lot of these choruses have that nice almost Spear of the Radio kind of that one feel, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know what you would call it. I would just call it the Spear of the Radio feel that pops up in most of these choruses in this album. That groove that Neil plays. Really great, really great. You Bet Your Life. One of my favorite tracks ever. When I heard this on the BAB thing, it's a really great song. Again, not flashy. These songs aren't flashy. It's not about how fast they can play. It's just great hooks. Almost close to the heart, like with that little phrase. You bet your life. Um, the odds, the odds get even. You name the game. Stakes are the same. You bet your life, baby. What a great song. That's another song that should have been on the radio. And it's got this whole like laundry list thing that goes on in the choruses. He's singing "Bet Your Life." I can't even like do all the words in the sort of laundry list that he does because they're all big words. But I think one of them is bebop, bebop, bebop. I can't do it because there's so many words. I can't. I'm not even going to attempt it. But there's a whole laundry list that goes on during the chorus in the backgrounds. And I guess one day I'll talk about the lyrics more extensively and I'll read them. I'm kind of in my Christmas lights here, so it's hard to read. So I'm not going to break out the lyric sheet right now. But what a great song! Just very hooky, very great closer. One of the best closers they've ever had. It's right up there with all the best of them. Available Light and everything. Um, I don't know. It's a feel good song. It has a great. It's in a great key again. A lot of E minor, a lot of G. That sort of key. And great lyrics, great songs, great singing. I meant to say by Geddy. Now Geddy's vocals. Let's talk about the vocals a little bit. He sounds pretty chill on this album. A little more chilled out, very chilled out, kind of style of singing. He's not screaming his head off. He's not, you know, very chilled. Kind of the lower register of his voice, which I like. It's Geddy's voice. You know, I read someone talk about, yeah, Getty, can't sing as good as he used to. No, he sings great. I think he had a look back in the '70s, from like the first album to about Moving Pictures or so. His range was really, he had a lot of range, and he had that extra octave that we all know from Temples and Series and stuff like that. But going forward after Moving Pictures, Geddy Lee, even to the last album, Clockwork Angels, still had a lot of range. He still had a ton of range, and could pretty much nail most of the tracks. Uh, just anything before Permanent Waves was hard to do. So there were songs like, I don't know, Fell with the Kings or whatever that he didn't even play that song, but if they did anything like 2112, they would tune it down if they could. But there were other songs like Working Man and Lakeside Park. He sang it perfect in the last few tours that he did. So, but his range is fine. So I don't think he really. I think he got better as a singer actually because he learned how to control his voice better, and can't hit as high as he used to. But so what? His range was so big that even if he lost that octave, he still had a lot of octaves left. It wasn't like he couldn't sing at all. Anyway, this album is more of a chilled out, low register most of the time, which is fine. But great songs, great tracks. I'm gonna finish this up quick because I know I'm babbling on. But really, the tour is really cool. They did a lot longer than Presto. Presto was, I think, abbreviated because they weren't sure if they wanted to tour anymore. But Roll the Bones, they realized, yeah, we're back into it. We really love it again. We're proud of this album, and they did 3 legs. I saw them all three legs. Madison Square Garden once in December of '91. Vinnie Moore opening up. In March, they came to the National Coliseum with Primus. That was a really important gig. I have it on had it on tape somewhere. Watched the hell out of it. Great show. But the best of the 3 was when they did the 3rd leg. And they played at Jones Beach in June of 1992. March was 1992 when they did the 2nd leg. But the 3rd leg, Jones Beach, and with this concert, this leg, they did something really special. For once, Rush changed the set list and surprised everybody by playing The Trees and playing The Analog Kid. Oh my God, first time. I never heard it before that live. And they played, what else? And Vital Signs. They brought back that. First time since Great Under Pressure Tour. They threw those into the set list along with everything else they did. What a great live concert. All of them, especially that last leg. Xanadu again. They played that again. They did a cool little medley at the end with Anthem. And played Limelight this time around. They had that in there. Great set list. A lot of the tracks from Roll the Bones. Bravado and Dreamlight. One thing they did was really cool on this they never did before either was extending the songs and extending the guitar solos, making the guitar solos go on a little longer because the Dreamlight solo on this is really great, but it is abbreviated. But live, no, he gave it a few extra bars where he improvises. That's another thing, improvising, doing some improvising like bluesy, jazzy improvising. I wish they had done more of it in their career. They really didn't go there with their future track. But Dreamline, they always extended the solo and he did a little improvising part. And then he plays the album part, guitar solo. Same thing with Bravado. They played the song. And in this sense, they did something. Genesis used to always do it, where they have the song and then they have like an instrumental part of it at the end. Well, Rush did that with Bravado. First time ever. When they had live, they added this extra part at the end. The instrumental bit where they jam for like 5 minutes. And I loved it. That's why the live version is the best version. Because of that. It's longer. It's longer. And it's so much more epic. Glad they did that. Where's My Thing? Did the same thing. They extended the intro for Geddy to do a little bass solo. Very jazzy, very jazzy. Like when I say jazzy, like modern jazz. jazz fusion. Great, great side of Rush. I wish they did more of it in their career. But they focus on rock. But I think they underestimated the jazzy side, the jazzy side, and the guitar solo again in "Where's My Thing Live," extended, improvising, Alex improvising, and then playing the solo on the album. Did the same thing like Dreamland. Oh man, I wish they did that more on some of the other albums after that. But whatever. I'm glad they at least did it with this. Really great. Really enjoyed the tour. Really great the album. Only one video, Roll the Bones. Like I said, that's the picture from they were filming it. Looked really cool. Great stage show. Great concert. A lot of fun. And great bands opening up. Primus in the second leg. That was my introduction to Primus, another great band. It was just a fine album. Fun tour. Fun, great album. Very important. The last of the Ruppenheim era. After this, they would make some really drastic changes, but we'll get more into that with the next album, Counterparts. I think this album, the songs really stand out. They really stand the test of time. These are some of the best songs in Rush's catalog, I think. So, what do you think? Where were you for All the Balls? What's your take? I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about it or whatever. Some people, especially older fans. But this is my take. I'm a big fan of Rush just writing great songs. It doesn't bother me at all when they kind of put the prog stuff, the really deep prog stuff aside and just focus on songs. I have no problem with that because Rush does a great job writing songs. But tell me what you think. Tell me where you were, where you heard Roll the Bones, the tour, or anything. I was 21. It was my, let's see, fifth tour that I saw him, but I was able to afford more money, so I was able to see more concerts. Anyway, really great. I don't know if there's anything I skipped, but if so, I'll get back to it. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got to say. Um, what else did I think? Yeah. Yeah, that's everything. So, enjoy your New Year's, everybody. Next time I talk about it, it's going to be Counterparts. And after that, Test for Echo. I want to get to those really soon. Sorry it took so long. Enjoy your New Year's. Happy New Year 2023. Peace out.